Have you ever wondered what life is like after the storm?
Well, thank God for life. Thank God for life. That's all I can say.
We move on, but this is their reality. There's a long road ahead, and in tough situations, you either step up or step out. We realize the best way we can step up is to come back. And we're going to keep coming back to share the real story on how you can be part of building the BVI back. Stronger, smarter, greener, and better than before. Many credit their lives to the 20-minute break during the eye of the storm, which allowed them to seek better shelter.
Reality.
Armed with 5,000 body bags and expecting the worst, the British military arrived to find that although the devastation was extreme, people and hope survived. People from all across the world wanted to help. They had resources, funds, and volunteers ready to go, but needed communication in order to coordinate.
We're in King Garden Bay. It's our first time coming down here. Their friends owned all these restaurants and bars. This was the hangout place to go.
The first several days, everyone was in shock and horror after seeing their beautiful islands in the condition they were in. With not even a leaf on a tree, no one ever imagined a storm could bring such devastation.
Genesis 1:1-2, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. It just feels like today, you know, it's been overcast. It's just easy to be overwhelmed by how gloomy just what we're seeing physically around us is. And it's good to be reminded that there was a time in the very beginning when God created it all, and it was void and it was dark and it was not physically beautiful, but God had a vision and He had a plan, and He created life and He restored and He made this earth, and He can do it again.
After a disaster like this, there are two phases. The first is initial and emergency relief, and the second is recovery. Every morning, community leaders and NGOs came together to discuss the plan for the day and who will be doing what. 80% of boats were destroyed or badly damaged, which made getting aid to the outer islands extremely difficult. Visar Search and Rescue managed to round up a boat to deliver aid to the remote islands.
Local delivery of food aid brought in by a local philanthropist. We're going to load up the boat and take it out to some of the more remote lying areas that really need help. It's time sensitive because of the weather that's approaching. We really want to get there and get these people ready for the storm that might be here. Unperishable goods, water filters, tarps are going to be essential coming into this next week. Personal comfort, hygiene thing, women's sanitary items, water tanks, chain saws. I know these are like gold, and for safety reason, there's down trees, and some of that stuff needs to come down before the storm hits and somebody gets hurt. There's going to be a lot of flying debris that wasn't here before, and this is going to help out a lot.
There are 4 main inhabited islands. Virgin Gorda, Jost van Dyke, Tortola, and Anegada, each suffering different levels of destruction.
So there's absolutely no communication in Jost van Dyke.
There's no communication over the whole line. And we have a couple of set phones in VG, and we do have a VHF.
While every island needed help, each had specific needs for relief depending on their level of damage, population, and their demographic of families and small children.
So we just dropped off a couple of bags.
Well,
Bare necessities.
Yeah, necessities but mainly for babies and small kids. And now we're heading to Jost van Dyke.
Infrastructure across BVI was destroyed. Jost van Dyke was the hardest hit, with over 85% of the buildings destroyed or severely damaged.
You know, I think this is a time when in the BVI that each individual see the life flash, you know, so it was very scary, but thank God for life.
What's your name?
Yeah, we're gonna get food in here.
Say hey.
So this, Karen Bay, Apple Bay, has been the worst on Tortola.
In order to move into a successful recovery phase, it is crucial to get people back to work. For BVI, financial services and tourism provide the main sources of income and employment. Understanding that 75% of businesses were damaged or destroyed, helping to rebuild local businesses is the leading initiative to accelerate the recovery of the nation. The first several weeks were extremely difficult. With no communication, very little resources, and no electricity, communities had to come together to be resourceful and survive.
Afterwards. So we decided to hold meetings every day. We got everybody motivated, and as you can see, we cleaned up the whole neighborhood, and we used whatever food we had and cooked everybody hot meals as a way of thanking them every day. Now it's still clean-up time. We're hoping that we're going to get the electricity and water supply soon, but it's been pretty miserable. It's been saltwater showers with a hand towel, lifting buckets out of a contaminated system. And it's our first year of marriage.
Oh my gosh, happy first year.
Lots of mosquitoes.
Lots of mosquitoes.
And flies.
We have seen real spirit and strength on this island in the last few days, but residents are realising that it could take years to rebuild, and that they'll have to summon a great deal of determination to help raise Tortola from this rubble.
Within a 10-day period of the Irma devastation, the BVI had threats of 2 other Category 5 hurricanes.
Following 2 hurricanes in the Atlantic this morning that could affect millions.
Is expected to strengthen to a major hurricane and could be very bad news for Caribbean islands that are just still recovering from Irma.
We have yet another hurricane forecast to hit the British Virgin Islands. Everyone's been rallying around trying to create some kind of shelter if and when the next hurricane comes. They are protected.